Hi, I'm with Nikki Arthur, who most recently came third in the spine race. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Very well.
Good. So to start us off, can you introduce yourself a little bit, and tell me what drew you to the spine race? I understand you're from the Isle of Man, so tell me a little bit more about you.
I live on the Isle of Man and have done for 11 years now. I'm Scottish. That's where I'm from originally. Um, since I moved to the Isle of Man, is like my sporting career, I guess, sort of took off. It's really, really heavily sporting community over here. And I initially started as a boxer on the Isle of Man and boxed to quite high level. And when lockdown hit and I wasn't able to get in the gym and things like that, I was running a lot for boxing just to keep my weight down and things like that. But when lockdown hit and the gyms all shut and things like that, I just started running longer, I guess, and decided that um, I wanted to run around the Isle of Man on the coastal footpath, and then that was, I guess, my sort of first dabbling into ultra running. Yeah, it just kind of grew from there, and I booked into sort of a couple of like GB ultra races and things like that, and then I met my partner Oren Smith, who had just done the Dragon's Back and was in for the spine the following year, and then I guess I just kind of got spine fever, as most people do when they watch it and get inspired by all the other runners. So um, Oren did it in 2023, and then I applied to do it in 2024 and didn't get in, but then got a sort of last minute Challenger North place last year. So I did the Challenger North in 2024, and because I won that race, I got like free entry into the Challenger North, or I could, pay the difference to do the full. And I was like, well, I'm going to do that then. So that's how I ended up on the start line for 2025. So that's kind of how I've got there. So yeah, since about 2020, I've been sort of doing ultra running, I guess. And yeah, it's sort of, well, it's been a pinnacle getting into the spine race, and then like an absolute bit of a dream to podium as well.
You
So it
can
was
retire
amazing.
now. You can retire now. You've done it.
Yeah, that's it. Finished on a high.
How far is it all the way around the Isle of Man?
It's 100 miles or just under, so it's about the coastal footpath is 96 and a bit miles. So I sort of rounded up like running up and down the prom in Douglas on the Isle of Man. So yeah, that coastal footpath is just pretty much 100 miles. So
Well, I'll add that to my challenges because that sounds
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
So,
it
what do you think is so special about the spine race?
just the community of people, like not only within the race, like the volunteers, the medics, the safety teams, but like just all along the Pennine Way, just there's just people there, and if it's not people, it's little boxes and little chocolate tubs, and just like people are obviously really proud that the race is going through, that like where they're living and where they're working and things like that, and like that's just really really amazing. And then like everybody else that you're running with, and like I say, the volunteers, the safety team, the people who are putting the race on, like there's just such a buzz and such a feeling of community. Like it's just like last year when I did the Challenger North, and I was like, oh, I want more. Like I loved the Challenger North, even though it's like super hard, and I had a bit of a blip in my race last year as well. Just you're just on such a high when you finish, and like and throughout there's just so much like pulling you along. It's just an amazing like community. It really is. And I've only been in it 2 years, and I know people come back time and time and time again, and I'm not surprised.
So, tell me a little bit about your race then. Obviously, not the full 268 miles step by step, but we'd be here all day. But
Yeah.
starting down in Edale, just give us a brief kind of run through of how your race went.
So I had a really rough first 2 days. I hadn't been, so I'd had a great training block, was feeling really strong. And then right on the 1st of January 2025, I picked up like quite a bad sort of throat infection, which then transpired into a bladder infection. And I got put on antibiotics, and they didn't finish until the Friday before the race. And that was always playing sort of in the back of my mind, like, oh, I don't know if I'm in the best sort of physical condition here. But and I did suffer in the first two days. I don't really know why, but it might have been related to that. But the snow and the conditions on the first day, like, absolutely knackered my legs by about 4 p.m. And I was like, oh my God, these are the sort of DOMs I expect to feel like, in 2 days, 3 days
Yeah.
time, like they're coming already. And then just throughout sort of Monday, I just started to feel dizzy, weak, lightheaded. Even though I was eating and drinking, fine, that wasn't a problem. But then the nausea started to come, and I was like, God, this isn't great. I didn't spend enough time in checkpoint one. I should have taken more time to sort of rest, recover, and eat a bit more, considering it's such a big slog to Hawes. So when I finally got to Hawes and I sat down to eat something, I was like, oh my God, this is not staying in my stomach. And I got up to go to the toilet to get rid of whatever it was, but I just fainted as well in the checkpoint. So then all the medics were like, sort of helping me out and things like that. And he was like, are you planning on sleeping? And I'm like, yes, I'm planning on sleeping. So I had an hour and a half in Hawes. But then when I woke up, like, I couldn't keep anything down, and I was just like, I just need to get out of this checkpoint and just see how I get on. This has happened to me before in races, so like I know that I can rally. Um, so yeah, after I left Hawes, sort of plodded my way sort of up to Tan Hill. And by the time I got to Tan Hill, I was like hungry, which was good. So Tan Hill looked after me loads, like got soup, bread, tea, coffee, like all the things up there, and it was obviously gorgeous and nice and warm. So and then I left with a couple of people, and that sort of helped sort of pull you along. And then I had like a strong, like, sort of 2 days after that. Crossfell was another level of difficult for me because it's in the dark, it's foggy, windy, and I just felt like I was bumbling around into oblivion up there. But once I got to Alston, I had more sleep, and then yeah, had like a stronger day. Like, met up with people. I ran with like Simon and Chris for quite a while, and over Hadrian's Wall, and yeah, just had like a brilliant sort of few. The days were like great. Like, I really enjoyed like running the day, but oh my God, the sleep deprivation in the evenings was really, really difficult. Um, but it's amazing how much sleep actually makes you feel like 100 times better as well. So yeah, when I left Barness, like, it's only like, well, I say only, it's only 26 miles, 27 miles over the Cheevy. It's like, I say only, but considering what you've done, it is sort of a small section. But I just couldn't, like, there's just so much emotion like pouring out of me on that last day. And it was such a gorgeous morning, and it was really windy but sunny the whole day. And it's just like, I moved quicker over the Cheviots in the spine than what I did in the Challenger North, which is mad. So an extra 108 miles and way less sleep, and it's just something else. And then I absolutely hammered the descent into Kirky at home. Like, I just like was coming in from a 20-mile race, never mind the 200 one. And yeah, like, I was like a long time after Robin and Lucy, but like, I couldn't have run any more than what I did. And I think obviously the first couple of days like really zapped out of me, but I felt physically so much stronger in the second half of the race. It was just my sleep deprivation and my emotions sort of holding me back a little bit by then. But like I say, Simon and Chris picked me up, and like chatting with people on the route, and I was bumping into people on the Challenger North by that point, and it's just great. Just like, everybody's in the same like boat, everybody's struggling, everybody's finding it hard, and you all just sort of rally and use that. So great, great race, really, really, really big roller coaster of physical and emotional turmoil, but you get through it. You get to the end.
It's amazing how, like, what was motivating you? Because I'm sure many people would have, gotten to the first checkpoint, felt that rubbish, and just thought, oh, it's cold. I may as well just like go. Like, that's not my year. So, what motivated you
Yeah, yeah.
going?
I think rallying on from previous experience of like getting through something like that helped me. Like, I did UTS in May last year, and I was just I really probably should have started, but again, like I had a really tough first sort of 20 hours, and then my body just sort of like adapts and it's like, okay, this is what we're doing, so let's go again. And I needed to give I left that checkpoint knowing that I needed to give my body that time to try again. And like I say, I've done it in more controlled environments. For example, like when I've had a support car nearby, and it's not going to be an issue. If I know what my body's capable of, and I didn't feel like I was putting myself in any danger going out to like try again. So that is one of the main reasons why I left the checkpoint. I also phoned my partner on, and I was like, I can't. I was like hugging the toilet. I can't stop vomiting, and he was like, just get out of the checkpoint. And I was like, okay. And so yeah, went with that, and like I know what to do as well. Like I sip on really high carb gels, and then I eat something really small, and then I just build it back up again, and that seems to work for me. And I just have to take my time. Like at the end of the day, I just wanted to finish the spine. Like I just want to be able to have said that, like, I've done that challenge and I've ticked that off, and like so many people had offered me so much support, and like that just I just felt it. I just felt it all the time when I needed it. That was what I would go to. Like, all these people willing me to the finish line. Like, I just want to do that for them as well as being able to, be proud of myself that I managed to get the finish too. So that's what got me out the checkpoint. And then I'm just really grateful that my body sort of like rallied with me and was ready to take on the last 160 miles.
So, obviously you've already kind of mentioned it, but it was like exceptionally challenging conditions this year. You were wading through like, snow that was just unbelievable. How did you keep warm? Was there like any particular kits that you had that you kind of like worked with and you thought this is going to do its job, or did you have like a strategy for it?
I'm very much like I am quite a cold human. That's probably in the wrong sport, but I do a lot of layers. And actually, towards the sort of second half of the race, like I was taking layers off. On that first day, I had a really good mountain equipment jacket, and I trained with that, and I knew that that would keep me warm. And I didn't have anything sort of like really special. Like I used my spare insulated jacket at one point because I was feeling like I'm getting a bit chilly now, and I didn't feel like my jacket that I had on or the layers that I had on were, doing the trick. So I swapped in what I had in my pack, and I swapped them round because I knew my insulated jacket would really help, and it did. As soon as I start moving, that reflected back so much body heat. I was like boiling in about 10 minutes. Like, oh my god, I'm too hot now. But yeah, so I never felt really really cold, and when I did, I sort of dealt with it straight away. And because I was like, oh, I don't. I was already a bit wobbly, obviously, and I knew my body wasn't in the best place, so I was like, oh, I need to make sure I keep it warm. So, but shout out to the guys in the Challenger South, like that. I mean, it was tough for us, and they'd been over the route and so had the sprint, and I just can't imagine what it was like for like Mark and James. Like, it must have been really, really, really hard for them. So, well done to both those races.
So, what was your strategy around fueling? Obviously, when you started to eat again, what was your strategy around taking food on?
I have it set on my watch every 45 minutes to just get something in my and what no matter what it is, whether it is like I try to avoid gels. Like if I can eat real food, I'll eat real food. So I'm a big believer in Turkish delight. Like that's a really good one with me. It's high carb, high sugar. It's easy to get in. I had nuts and I had chocolate and just a bit of a mixture because you get really palate bored, and if you've only got sweet or you've only got savory, it gets really hard to eat just because you can't taste anything and your tongue's burnt, and that's rough. But like it really helps like having it on my watch because I used to be quite bad with fueling, and I'd go and go and go until like I'd bonk because I hadn't taken on enough. So that beeping at me every 45 minutes, I'd just stick something in there. I do have the precision fuel, like high carb gels, the 90-gram ones, and they're really good because they've got a little screw top. So when I only wanted to sip a little bit, when I was still feeling a bit woozy, like it was good to just stick in my pocket, and then I'd take it out 10 minutes later and try again. And yeah, so they were really useful as well. So yeah, just littling off in as much as I could, and like I said, I felt like I could have fueled more at checkpoint one. I was in a bit of a faff, and I was like, "Oh, I need to. I'm here. I've got to get out." Like it's 70 miles pretty much to the next checkpoint. I definitely should have sat down for longer and got in more fuel. But that's the sort of things that you learn, isn't it, when you're doing a race for the first time? So, but I like other than like not being able to eat properly in Hawes. I ate in every other checkpoint, like a full meal, like and then some, like full meal, dessert, Coke, coffee, all the things. So yeah, just little and often for me, and that seemed to like maybe not so much in the second day, but I was fine in the. I was starving quite a lot of the time, like really just really wanted like more food. Like I came into one of the huts on the Cheviot, and I was like, guys, like I'm starving. Like who's ginger nut biscuits are they? Please can I steal one? Because I was
Just
really
calling
struggling
up
to like
Domino's, calling up Domino's.
yeah,
Can you
yeah,
meet me at
like
the top of the
please.
Cheviot by any chance?
Yeah. Like when I got into the finish, she was like, "Would you like some toast?" And I was like, "Yes, I'd like a loaf of toast, please."
So
Yeah, but yeah, so
taking it to those those maybe final 10 miles or so, were you aware that you were in third place? And was it kind of something in the back of your mind, or was it just kind of, I'm gonna finish, I don't really care about the podium?
yeah, like I knew I'd been in third. Like me and Sarah Perry had sort of both been third, fourth a couple of times. She is a lovely girl, and I chatted with her on the way to Tan Hill, and she's still struggling a bit with sleep debt. So when I left her at Tan Hill, like I didn't see it again, so I knew that I'd moved into third position. But in the back of my mind, like Sarah's just behind me, like but I didn't feel like I was racing. Like I'd struggled so much in the first 2 days. I just wanted to get that finish.
Mm,
Now, when I felt strong, I pushed, like because you want to get the best time that you can. But not being on the podium wasn't important. It was, an aspirational goal before the race was to finish in the top five, and I managed to achieve that. So that was good. Like the level of the girls race this year, like when I saw the sort of startup, I was like, oh my God, like these girls are like, these are my inspiration. Like these are who I like look at and, feel so proud of like being able to say that I'm in the same race as them. Like Sarah Perry's like, backyard ultra champion, Robin Cassidy's an unreal athlete, Lucy, another level, like 14 times Ironman champ. There's loads of other sort of really strong girls in there as well, like Laura from Innovate and Elaine Bisson. And I was just looking at like it's literally like all the top girls in the whole of the UK, pretty much. Like there's only a couple of names sort of missing, and so to be able to finish in the top three when the standard of competition like was as high as that, it's if Hannah had stayed in the race, I probably wouldn't have finished in the top three. But then I guess that's ultra running. Like she's put out a really great blog about what went on with her race and why she thinks she didn't get to the finish, and it's just like really, really interesting read. You can be physically there, but not in a race like that. If your brain's not there, then it's really hard to push forward. Like my brain's the only reason that I got out of pause, not my body. That's for sure. So like all of those girls, just like absolute inspiration to me, and to be able to say that I raced alongside them. It's just amazing. Podium's just a bonus. It really is.
How did it feel to get there? What, all of that training, all of the roller coaster, what were your emotions?
So coming coming over the Cheviots was something else. I used music quite a lot on the last day as a bit of a motivator. Even though, like I say, like I was moving well, but my partner already phoned me around lunchtime, and I just could not stop crying. But it was proper like absolute wailing, sobbing. Like I'm so glad no one was around. um, it just like, but it wasn't. I guess like it must have been just. It was just emotion. I wouldn't have said I was overly happy or overly sad. Once I'd sort of went to Hurt 2 and then got up to the Shill, and then my bag burst. So that's just what I need for the last like 7 miles is like a broken bag. which I managed to. It was just a sort of dodgy bungee cord. I'd managed to like sort of tie it back together again, but um, I just was like, oh, I just want to get to the end now. Like these 7 miles like seem so far away, but my body just like it was just ready. And like I say, once I got to the top of the shell, I really descended well, and I was just so delighted to be like on my way to Kirkgate home. And like once I got to that little bit of road, I was like, this is it. And then, then a photographer came up the road in his Jeep, and I was just like, I'll just get a lift with him to the end. And then I was like, did I say that? After all that, I was like, just going to jump in this car. And I was like, oh my God, I'm clearly so tired right now. It's just like that little bit of road just feels so long. And like I'd moved really well off the hill. And now I felt like I was like moving backwards because I was going so slow on the flat. But it's so amazing to have like a race that you're happy with and for your training to pay off. Like it doesn't always happen, it really doesn't. And even if your race pays off, you might not be happy with it because, of how it's went, blah blah blah. But yeah, I like it really went well for me this year, even though it didn't in the first 2 days if you think about it. But I got my finish and that was all I want. So that
Amazing.
was great.
So how's your recovery been? After you've like sat down and you've taken a minute, how are your legs?
Yeah, my legs actually recovered pretty well. My calves were super tight the next day on the Friday, but what I really struggled with was quite extreme foot pain. They were very, very swollen, and even just like raising them and icing them and things like that didn't seem to be shifting it. That has finally settled, and I had like sort of issues with my pack and like one of the sort of bones in my shoulder, so that's still a bit tender and things like that, but generally, like I had 2 or 3 days of just doing nothing in PJs, like my mum fussing over me and my partner fussing over me. So that really helped. Sleep has been a bit on and off. Like I'm sure if you've done an ultra before, you'll know what the night sweats are like, and they don't seem to be subsiding yet. So it's quite disturbed sleep still, but I feel like again, I'm super impressed and grateful that my body is like rallied so well. I went for my first run today at lunchtime and felt good and like felt a bit heavy, but I haven't ran properly since the spine, which was a week ago. And then before that, I hadn't done very much at all because I was not well. So, you know, it's impressive, like what sort of consistent, tough training can do for your body. And yeah, so yeah, I'm super pleased with how I've recovered as well.
You've bullied the last of the illness out of you. I think the spine race was just like, no, right, no more illness. I'm just going to bully it out. You can't come back.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
What are you looking forward to for the rest of the year? Have you got any races lined up?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to go to the Sky Running Series in Wales in the 14 Peaks race. So that's one that I've never done before, but I've heard a lot about the route. And I also qualified for UTMB in August, which is a bit of a massive dream race for me. Like probably one of the reasons why I started to get into, sort of ultra running. Like I followed Courtney Dauwalter. Like she was just a bit of a like ace person to sort of like get into and learn a bit about what she was doing. And she'd won UTMB around the time that I was sort of looking at ultra running, and it's been a dream race of mine. So when I came third in UTS in May, and that qualifies you into the championship final, I guess, which is UTMB. So I'm really excited about that one. Like I can't wait to spend like a day and a half or 2 days in the Alps, and experience all that, because I've been to Italy, but I've never experienced like that sort of side of the world yet. So that's like really exciting.
Well, thank you so much for speaking with me. I really appreciate it. I'll definitely be watching out for you for the rest of the season. I'm really looking forward to it.
Excellent. Thanks for having me.